Yesterday's news, if you missed it, and Kelly Brothers brought this up, but it was reported that Sacramento State and the Kings or / Golden One Center have kind of agreed that they would be able to play some of their basketball games at Golden One Center. Certainly pending a move to the moving up, which does bring up the question that I brought up to Kelly, which is probably unfair to Kelly, but it's just a speculative question. It probably needs to go to the president, Luke Wood, or whoever else we get on as guests here in the coming weeks on this quest. But a lot of it, to me, Chris, has been Sac-12, trying to get the group into the Pac-12. There's been mentioning of the Mountain West. I've said all along, these are all great goals. I think they should go for it. I would love it. You still have to be invited by those conferences. And we've seen some other teams being talking to the Pac-12. We see Gonzaga going in as a basketball entity. There's still spots for more football and basketball programs. But does it have to be that? Like, if it's not, do these pledges that come in go away? I mean, you would hope that, hey, look, if you want what's best for the community and best for Sacramento, that if they didn't get to the Pac-12, or if they didn't get into the Mountain West, are these pledges gone? And that's what I don't know. But regardless, you've got, Chris, there's a lot of people now that have put their names out there publicly that are behind these things, political leaders, local leaders, the school itself, that are very out front with trying to get this program involved at a higher level. That makes me believe that, like, hey, look, there's a lot to lose if it doesn't happen. So a lot of people think this can happen.
The one thing I'm worried about would be Sac State is able to join the Pac-12, and then let's say 8-9 years from now, you know what, we're doing away with conferences and college sports. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. I don't think anyone's brought that up as a possibility, because we've always taken these conferences as is. Like,
yeah.
There's always been conferences in college sports. I have a feeling like we can see a complete overhaul of sports and see more of a promotion relegation type of situation in college sports.
I think that would be amazing. And I think that's a route that could happen. I kind of took it a different way, as like, if they did move up, whether it was Pac-12 or Mountain West, and then things kind of did another shuffle, you're at least already up.
Yes.
So I think that's where the benefit is. There's different TV deals that they would be a part of, or trying to be a part of. I've always thought, this is my own personal opinion, sometimes I feel like I'm too close to this, working with Sac State, knowing a lot of people over there, but me personally, and it's not set up this way, but I always thought, wouldn't there be a pretty nice conference if you had San Diego State, San Jose State, UC Davis, Sac State, Cal Poly, maybe Cal and Stanford, like almost, kind of what it's been before, a regional one, but you get some of these teams that have moved on to other conferences, kind of morph them into one California, or even, added UNLV and Reno, or kept Washington State and Oregon State. But look, the Pac-12, they are currently talking to teams. I'm sure the Mountain West is currently talking to teams. So for you guys out there that are people of this community, whether you went to Sacramento State, whether you went to high school here, what do you think of what Sacramento State is attempting to do, what the Sac-12 is attempting to do? Again, the stadium announcement happened last week. By all accounts, that's irrelevant of a promotion to the Mountain West or the Pac-12. The NIL developments, I don't know the answer to that one, what the Sac-12 has raised. We heard the number 35 when we talked to Dr. Luke Wood earlier this week. He said they were already up to 40, and maybe that number's gone up. The announcement of Golden One being a place where they can play hoops at, that's great, but I still think a long-term answer needs to happen on campus. That's my personal belief. And then you probably saw some of the renderings that were, at least versions of renderings that were put out yesterday or leaked out. Those are all exciting when people can tangibly see some things. I know me as a visual person too. It's like, oh, we're building a house. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. And then when I can even look at some of the drawings, great. But then the minute framework is up and you go, oh man, that's going to be amazing. So things are moving. How quickly? Or is it too fast? Is it possible? I'd love your perspective at 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140, text line, YouTubers as well. Let's check in with Troy, who's dialing us up this morning. Good morning, Troy. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Jason. My perspective is Sac State has to move into the FBS. I'm an FCS guy. I graduated from Montana State.
Okay.
It's an awesome league. The Big Sky Conference is an awesome conference. It's very competitive. The playoff system is awesome.
Yep.
But it works great for small market teams. I mean, Bozeman's got 100,000 people. Missoula's got 70,000 people. The entire state of Montana is 1 million. Sacramento is pushing 2 million people in the greater region here. And in your larger markets, I feel like to be relevant in the community, you have to be in the FBS. And most people in this community follow FBS football, and they don't follow FCS football. And Sacramento, I think, warrants the opportunity to move into that, upper division, whether it be the Mountain West or the Pac-12. I'd prefer the Pac-12, but I just think they would fit well for it. I think the college is situated well for it. Definitely need the facilities.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you talked about the Kings Arena. That I would say the Sac State current basketball arena is probably even worse than the football arena.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely there's got to be some movement there as well. I do think the Kings Arena is a great bridge to get them into something. I think it will happen. But just comparing the FCS to the FBS, I do think that, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, I do think that the market size and the size of Sacramento would be much more popular in the FBS than the FCS.
Yeah, and thank you, Troy. That's a really good comments and good call. I mean, as someone that's connected and had connections there to Montana State, knows what goes on there in Bozeman, certainly Missoula, and as someone that has traveled to those spots, I love going there. I love when Sac State plays games in Missoula, in Montana, in Bozeman, in Montana, and just the atmosphere. That is as close to what people see on TV that they see at Alabama. Now it's a smaller scale, but those communities shut down to go watch the Bobcats, to go watch the Grizzlies. It is humongous. It's just, they know when the games are. They know who they're playing. They're educated fans, and you love it. Now, Sacramento State has started to build themselves a program. They've been a playoff team 4 years in a row. 3 of the 4, they won the Big Sky Championship. And it's happening. It's building. It's growing. Consistently, the fan base, it's more and more people out at Hornet Stadium with subpar facilities. And I think, like anything, when you build something new, it's better. I loved Arco Arena. Golden One Center is a better arena. I mean, it's fabulous. It's a great place to be. And you get, anytime you just feel like you're at somewhere that's nice and better, you want to be a part of it. So if the Hornets get this new stadium, and when they do, and have better facilities, suites and press box locations and bathrooms and concessions and parking and all that stuff that comes with it, that will just elevate the overall experience. And it just kind of spills over into every element. Yeah, you start to get what is a pretty good high school breeding ground for college players in our area. And some people right away going, oh, I want to go play on a bigger stage. Well, if Sacramento was already a bigger stage, now maybe you get some of the elite level players from our local region that also want to stay here. They're already done a good job of recruiting from here. Both Sacramento and Davis have done that. But the players that are going to Alabama, Michigan, Florida State, USC, that those are going to be tough players to get, but maybe you can. But it's those players that are left to go to, Florida Atlantic, BYU, Oregon State. It's like, why can't Sacramento State get those players, or UC Davis? And I think they can. And this exposure going up, if it does happen, playing at a nicer stadium, I think is all what starts to happen in building a program, and being a part of the program and seeing what they've done. And to Troy's point, the market size, I think, is the biggest and largest advantage that Sacramento State has in its quest to move up. As the Pac-12 is currently constructed, this is a fact, is currently constructed, the teams that were added, if the Hornets were selected, they would be the second largest television market amongst that group. The biggest market would be Colorado State, who's new to the conference. So they don't have Cal and Stanford anymore. They don't have UCLA and USC, Arizona State, all the teams that have left, Colorado, Denver, Utah, they're gone. So the way it's currently constructed, Sacramento State would be a California school, a Northern California school, Sacramento market. It would be a big market. And when whatever the version of the new Pac-12 becomes, and they're looking for a new television deal, that is a difference maker. That's, to me, the biggest and largest advantage Sacramento State has. They have more disadvantages right now, facilities, which they are working on. Being an FCS team, in general, FBS teams are not trying to take on that many FCS teams because now you're, imagine the biggest pieces of the pie, and now you're sharing more of that money with teams coming in. They don't love that. I mean, right? You're just taking little slivers out, and that's something with, the Alabama. Can they all afford it? Sure. But you take money out of anybody's pockets, nobody's a fan of that. So you've got that. You got facilities disadvantages. You've got a reputation from the past that some still have. And even I've seen, as someone that's been involved in the Big Sky Conference a long time, people, unlike Troy, but people from Montana, Montana State, maybe Weber State, North Dakota State out of the conference, South Dakota State, that have been perennial powers, they go, Sac State's never won a Big Sky champion or a national championship. They're not that much of a regulars in the postseason. Why would you elevate them? Why wouldn't they have to dominate their level first? That's not exactly how this is working, where you'd look at Montana, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. These have been perennial powers, national champions, but we're back to market size. That is a deal. Right or wrong, that is a big deal. And North Dakota State, amazing program. South Dakota State, amazing program. Tailgate, fans, robust. They've got all of that, but they're missing out on some of those other things. And so if you're going, hey, television advertiser and television production group, look, we've got an opportunity to have this conference, but we can get you in California, we can get you in South Dakota. You want to be in California. So I think that's where the advantages lie for Sacramento. The other advantage is now you're getting a ton of attention. The president has jumped out in front of this and been bold and ambitious. You've got political leaders here. Doesn't mean it always is going to work, but you got a lot of people putting their name and face and an entity out there. You got a school that I'm sure, they've got it. The school on their hand has to kind of cover all their bases because they are still a member of the Big Sky. If they don't get invited, they can't say, oh, we always wanted out of the Big Sky. They got a conference they're in currently, but I got to believe if they can move to the Mountain West or the Pac-12, they'd be all in for that.
And getting Golden One, I think, is huge too, because not only will they have a huge place to play at, but it also gives them some relief of, okay, we don't have to do the football stadium and the basketball stadium at the same time. And I was talking with my cousin about this yesterday. It's like, man, I don't think people realize how small Sac State's basketball court is. I was telling him, I said, I played in my school where we were sometimes playing in barns and on carpet, but we would also go to the other Division 5 schools who their gyms were like immaculate and are way better than Sac State's gym.
Yeah. And that's, Sac State's done their part to make the nest better, but it's anybody that's been there knows it's just, to your point, Chris, there are high school gyms that are better. And so in the short term, when you're recruiting or saying, hey, our games are now going to be like the television angles, even just something as simple as wiring and feeding and the possibility of broadcasting a basketball game, it's ready to go. I mean, every Kings game's on, so they know that can happen. Multiple locker rooms. You have everything, all of that. Now, the concern about playing at a place like Golden One is, let's say the Hornets get 3,000, 4,000 for a game. Well, that doesn't look very good in a 17,000 seat arena. So that's the stopgap for now. That also helps. It just sounds bigger and better. And so they're kind of lining things up to make this jump. It's, again, back to you've got to get the invite. They've got to be the ones that want you.
And I do hope that they're smart with it because, I mean, we've seen this with Kings tickets. They are very expensive because the team is doing well.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping to make the playoffs. This would be a great move to start advertising to lower income of just like, hey, you can't go to Golden One for a Kings game. Come check out Sac State play here.
Right. Well, and the other part that, football's getting the attention, certainly basketball does too, but this would be a move in all sports. And there, you got to think about the other elements. Could that be, is that better for everybody involved? So it's an exciting time. I would have said, Chris, years ago, like, no, there's no chance.
No chance.
And then even when you first heard about it, I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, I just, people would ask, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how they pull it off. then just the more and more things keep happening, and just truly the chaos that we're in, and teams that have been approached that have turned down, others that are interested, and just really there's really no entity that's like, that we're covering all of this, we're protecting. It's almost like there could be an announcement like, yeah, they've moved to the Pac. It's like, wow, it really happened.
Yeah, this only works if USC and UCLA leave the Pac-12.
Yeah, and Texas and Oklahoma move, and then here's Arizona State. Like, all of this has all happened, and it could get us to either a grander, bigger picture or a reshuffling later. But in this chaos is opportunity, and I think Sac State realizes it. They're trying to get their ducks lined in a row, same with the Sac-12, and they've made this interesting. I will definitely say that. I did not think this was a possibility. I don't know if it will happen for certain, but they have put their name in the running, and it's not hey, there's zero chance. There's a chance. It's just, will it happen? We're going to talk more about this. We're going to get more feedback, more from you guys on the text line and the YouTube, and certainly on the phone lines, 916-339-1140, 1-800-920-1140, and just how we keep growing as a sports town. Obviously, we know we have the Kings. We've added soccer. Could that soccer go to a higher level? Baseball is coming. It was announced yesterday that the tournament, March Madness, will be back here. Where are we going to be at in Sacramento? Can we house all these things, and how much we are truly growing in that fight that I think the city has always had? No, we're a little place. We're not LA. We're not San Francisco. But wait, we're a big city. Like, there's been that dynamic that this city has fought for and fought itself between. I think they're doing now too. But we'll discuss that and how Sacramento keeps growing as a sporting entity. We'll do that next.
Subscribe to Sactown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael